So we'll change when it's down, so you can't see it when it's full.
Ready?
Okay.
7 p.m. Tuesday, October 21st. Fredonia Parks and Recreation Committee, call to order. Pledge allegiance first.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I can call the roll for you since we don't have video. I know Dan Gerke is on his way. We have Trustee Eipert as chair, Trustee Searing, and Trustee Van Roo who are present.
Public comment. No public comment. Consent agenda. Approved minutes of the July 5th, 2025 Parks and Recreation Committee meeting.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
And I can second?
Sure.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll second.
I just call for a vote. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any opposed?
Great.
Items for action and or discussion. Discussion and possible action on 2026 proposed parks project.
All right. Well, I can kick this off and then I'll hand it over to Simon here. Each year we work on various parks and maintenance items throughout our park system. I would say this is probably the most organized that we've been to date, as long as I've been here. It first started off with no parks maintenance. Then it went to, well, as we see things, we'll tackle it. Last year, we went into the year with Director Paulus having a few different ideas. And now that we're rolling into 2026 with the new role that Simon has as our parks lead, I challenged him to come up with a priority list of items that he felt were important for 2026 and beyond. And this is what he came up with. So I will hand that over to him. Yes, please.
Yeah, so obviously you can tell that if everything is organized based on the parks that we have in the village that the village is responsible for maintaining. So a lot of the stuff that we have in here is stuff that we are either already doing currently or like in the past year. That costs us nothing to do other than the equipment that we already have. So if you see something here and it doesn't have a price listed next to it, that means that we can do it with in-house equipment that we already have, or materials that we already have, and it costs nothing extra. And then anything italicized in here is not something that we have planned currently for next year, or that will cost us directly from our budget. So you can see in Stony Creek, we have resurfacing the parking lot, which is all part of a CIP project, which is bigger than just the Stony Creek parking lot. So that will not cost the parks budget directly. And then also in Stony Creek, we have a nature playground, which is kind of in the beginning stages based off of what we saw that West Bend did at, recently they just opened one. And we haven't really done a lot of digging into that yet. But it is something that we thought was cool. And in the future, we would like to talk about more. So for 2026, it is probably not feasible option, but in the next 5 years, hopefully we can get a nice baseline for that. So then we also, in a lot of the parks, we have wood chips around trees or planters. At Stony Creek, we use our own wood chips that we get from chipping branches from residents. So that costs nothing for us to maintain and do every year. We would like to refresh playground wood chips every year. So for Stony Creek and now at Fireman's Park and at Freedom Park are the 3 parks that we have with playground wood chips currently. So that cost is in the general. Instead of breaking it down for each park, I put it in the general. And then some of the big things, I guess, so Fireman's Park, we'd like to get a sign for that park to kind of be cohesive with the rest of the parks that we have going in. Stony Creek just got a new sign this year. Children's Park has a sign, and Fireman's Park, we noticed, has nothing that kind of represents it, tells people where they are. So Fireman's Park that's in the budget for next year to get a sign. Resurfacing and painting the basketball courts, again, is in the budget for next year. And then a border for the wood chips that we just put in this year. As for the disc golf, the budget for the disc golf, that money is not directly coming out of our budget. I know, talking with Chris and with Eric, disc golf brings in their own money, and then everything that we get from them running their tournaments or from their donation box is going to directly go back to them improving that course. So things like benches or bridges, and then just repairs and like cutting the grass and that kind of stuff. So that $1,500 for the disc golf does not come out of our, or I have not penciled it in to come out of our budget. And then as Dan asks for money for that, or asks for items for that, we pull it out of what we brought in from the disc golf tournaments and donations.
Are you talking just with donations?
Well, donations, I don't think is very much, but we do have some tournaments that run through, and that's what kicks it up to that 1,500 number. I think it's a fair amount.
And it may be, short of the 1,500, but like I said, it doesn't come out of our budget. So anything that they bring in, we'll give back to them. At Children's Park, we are talking about getting new playground equipment, updating that park. I know that there was some donation money that is maybe being penciled in. I don't know if that's come through yet or not. And then to keep that playground safe and up to date with current standards, we'd like to install wood chips there as well. And then if we are going to go with updating that whole park, we'd like to get new garbage cans, get a new park bench in there, kind of the whole works to make that park nice. Freedom Park. So for Freedom Park, Eric and I talked about possibly getting a sign for there as well. Since that is the park that we are holding the most events at, and it's the park that we have, I think, put the most money into maintaining and making look nice. It's kind of that first park you see when you come in the village. We think a sign would be very beneficial there. And then every year we weed and feed that, and we'll refresh the wood chips in the park there. And then one thing that we talked about, which Eric and I talked about, which we are still kind of brainstorming, is possibly doing some like yard games there. And we've seen, sorry, the treatment plant is calling.
With the yard games, previous board member brought that up, Tiffany, about adding some stuff there, so it'd be like you'd see like a table for chess or checkers, but it'd be concrete, and then like 2 concrete seats, so people can't just pick it up and walk away with it. So,
Or bag toss, right? That's concrete. And
yeah, the only problem is when you start going with supplies like bags or like checkers or stuff like that, are they gonna stay? How do you monitor that? When someone wants to go use it, now it's missing, 3 bags, it kind of defeats the purpose, so.
I've seen a lot of those get built and then it's just kind of bring your own bags type.
And that's why, when we were talking, looking at like a chess thing there, kind of like you see like New York City with their parks, they got those there and you see a bunch of people sitting there.
Does there happen to be a camera in the vicinity?
There is not, with the current camera company that I use, as long as there's available internet, then I can put up cameras. But if I want to like have something over there, some system would have to communicate, and the company that I use is a smaller company, and they just don't do that, so. But yes, the cameras would be nice. The addition of the cameras that in the last 2 years we've put up have caught, accidents, the Ozaki County's used it for, hit and runs, so I mean, they're useful. We caught kids starting a fire behind the shop, and
Throwing batteries.
I mean, they're doing their purpose. I mean, that's was the point of putting them in. Alright, sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, again, with the yard games, like we talked about a bunch of different things. Really, we're kind of just trying to brainstorm ideas for that park to be used by more people all the time. And not just for, I mean, our Tuesday Tunes does really well, I think. And I know the football club has rented that in the past to do their season opening thing. But a lot of times what you see there is little kids and their grandparents that take them there in the summer to use the park. And there's not many, I mean, teenagers will go and sit there after school and eat their whatever, McDonald's or whatever it is. But we'd like to find a way to allow everyone to use that park. So moving on to Marie Krause, that is currently the one with the most planned for next year. Part of that is just what it takes to maintain a soccer field. And then part of that is requests from the soccer club. So every year we've been rolling the fields, we've been weed and feeding them at Marie Krause and at Fireman's. And we'll continue to do that next year. It's been a consistent need since I played soccer down there to get a net behind the U14 field to stop the ball from going into the woods. And then kids have to crawl in there to get it, or you leave the ball to rot. So we're in the process of going through options for that. I have budgeted a $50, I found like a 12-foot high net. That we could very easily install back there. I know Eric and I have talked about different options we could do with that too. So that is, we will be installing some sort of net back there or backstop. The soccer club asked for locks or weights for the I believe it's like U8, the small field all the way on the west end. They were worried about safety of players and little kids like pulling on the top of the net and it flipping over on them or something like that. So I found we can't, with the nets that they use down there, we can't install like locks to lock it into the ground, but there are weights that you can attach to the back of the net and then they sit on the ground. And hopefully that would stop the net from flipping over. There are bleachers down there right now at all three of the fields, and they seem to be used and liked by many people. So in the past, we did not install pads for those bleachers, and that is something I would like to do for next year. I think we could do it with a lot of the material we have in-house, asphalt millings mainly. I think it would make a nice pad, and it's not going to cost us anything to do it other than time. And then I think the big thing for down there, aside once this parking lot gets paved, is completely finished. So for next year, the big thing I believe is going to be an addition of a flagpole, a gardening planter box with the flagpole, and then there's, I know, some other things associated with that. And that's all being paid for by a donation, which I believe we've already received.
He's taking care of it.
Yeah, so it's already kind of in the beginning stages. We have concrete work that's gone on down there in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So that'll be a nice addition down there. And then Chris and I and Eric talked about in the last meeting we had, now that the splash pad is being, well, close to finished, we talked about doing a pavilion and then some sort of small, maybe possibly playground down there. And that would be something that we were talking about would be paid for by donations. It's kind of similar to how we did it with the splash pad, I think. And that's not a next year thing, but in the next 5 years, maybe. And then Oak Park, I know we got some new picnic tables for them down there this year, and I think they went over really well. And then they asked us to kind of add some concrete pads for those tables to sit on, so they're not just in the grass and they have a home. So that was the big thing I think for down there next year. I know that the snow fence or removable fence that they have down there is pretty used, worn down. They're starting, some of those PVC pipes that hold it up are starting to fall over, and some of the fence is tearing and ripping, and it can get caught in our lawnmowers, and then it tears more. And so it's not something that I currently had budgeted for next year, but I think it's something that, talking with the baseball club, if they also think that that's something that they would like to have changed or fixed, that I could see going in next year. And if you look, the current budget we have is 30,000, and the total cost of all the parks is $28,600. So leaving us $1,400 left over. I think $600 of that could go to a new snow fence or removable fence for them down there. And then I guess the last thing, I guess generally we have gone through in the last few years replacing picnic tables, garbage cans, park benches. So we just have allotted money there in the general fund to do that as we see fit for this coming year. I've done it personally. I know they get hit when we plow some of the parking lots and stuff, and get broken that way. But especially at Marie Krause, we're talking about adding new garbage cans down there with the flagpole going in, and things like that. So as we see fit, we have money budgeted to add new park benches and picnic tables and garbage cans for next year as well. I
Great.
think that's all I got.
It's very detailed. I love it. I mean, it breaks it down for us really well. Thank you.
So first question, the snow fence, why are we using snow fence down there instead of like a more durable
So I'd
fence?
like to pass that off to the softball president of why they use that snow fence.
Okay, well, we need to snow fence to mark the outfield and the outfield, right? So we'll get it over that at the home run. We took a look at getting removable fencing, it's more permanent, but movable. $27,000 to do that nice arc from the first baseline to the third baseline. And so it's pretty expensive for a club that made about $5,000 last year. So, I mean, we'd be more than happy to work toward doing this, but it is an expensive.
Do you know how many feet that is? How many feet is it?
I don't know off the top of my head, but going, in an arc at about 300-foot mark from first baseline all the way to third baseline, it's something like 30 section, 10-foot fence.
I think the other thing that's important to remember too is that we don't actually own that land there.
Yeah. And so the removable fencing is what you want to have, either the snow fence that we currently use or the movable fencing that we would be purchasing with that rather than something that's installed permanently. Because we don't own the property, it's owned by the company next door. The other reason to have movable fencing is that if we wanted to do pony club or little league, the junior little league, we need to fence that so that it can accommodate the larger field size.
The basketball court at Fireman's, is that already kind of sort of getting to that point where it needs to be redone again?
You could see like where the high spots, right?
I don't know if it's high or low.
Which ones wear out faster. So, I think it's helped that we blocked it off, that the cars don't park on there.
For sure.
But I think since we've done that, it was used quite a bit.
Yeah, it seems like there's a guy who must be training, I don't know if they're in middle school or high school, but girls basketball players, they were there 2 or 3 times a week in the summer.
So,
using
it's
that.
It's good news.
What kind of signs are you guys planning on putting in there? It was listed at like $3,000.
So the ones that I got the quote for were like what we have at our welcome sign, that poly fiber.
Yeah.
It's like engraved. So it's not a wood sign, it's like a plastic poly sign. I got a quote for that, and then, the one we did at Stony Creek, I mean, we were fixing that park up, and then the sign just looked like garbage, and I asked the county to make one, so it cost, it was like $130. So,
And the goal at the very least is to have all of our branding match in each of our parks. I know we talked about that with children's, right? How do we take that creative, cool looking sign, but still to match the branding of our village now? And so that'll be, continual discussions as we move forward.
So I guess my question would be if is there other alternatives we could look at that are way less expensive than $3,000 potentially?
yes. The problem that you have is when we start going to back to Fredonia's old ways of, the cheapest possible, that's what we do, is, and Dan can contest. We took down the first welcome sign and it was made out of picnic table boards. Will look like garbage, and you're trying to paint that because you don't wanna replace it. I'm not saying that's the way we're gonna go. But the reason why I went with that company with that style was it's not supposed to fade. It's supposed to last. It didn't the first year, but
Well, yeah, but that
Is it supposed to be like the composite deck?
there you go.
Is that, okay,
So it's like a
That's what we
composite.
have.
It's basically they take a big piece of plastic and then they laser cut it and then it's painted. The one that recrossed the splash pad that's all wood. So,
I think the wood, the wood signs look nice when you first install them. They weather faster.
yeah.
Without a doubt. They may not break or fall apart, but it starts peeling, and then if you're replacing it in 5 years, then is it really saving much money? And
How long do the ones you're proposing, how long do they last? Is it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50, 100?
they say structurally they're supposed to last forever. Everything will fade no matter what. It's just where you have it. Is it in constant sun? Is it being shaded by something? So the one at Marie Krause on the bathrooms is underneath an overhang. Hopefully it'll last a lot longer. The one up on 57 there and H, I would say not as long because you're full sun, you're full weather, everything.
would that be able to be repainted though, so the sign is okay, it just needs to be touched up or raised?
I don't know if I didn't get that far in the. Said, 170-mile-an-hour winds it's supposed to handle and it's supposed to not fade. However they say that, 2 shades or whatever over years. I didn't just go and get one company and say that's the one we're doing. I had 3 different companies and I thought that was the best product for the buck.
So you said we had one down at Stony Creek though.
Stony Creek that's a wood one, right?
is it wood or is it metal? What are they counting?
I don't remember what the county did, and they have their own sign shop. But it's limited to design, and all it says is Stony Creek Park, and I think there's some water and a sun. So, and they also made the splash pad. Softball, soccer field
The
one,
entrance sign.
yeah, the entrance sign up on Wisconsin there, so.
In the same size sign that we used to have, and now there's a lot more compound, so it's even harder to read.
Yes.
So,
It's higher now though.
this.
I'm just, you said that you wanted to start making all our signs the same, but it sounds like we've just had 3 off the top of my head, 3 that we just had made that are not anything like each other, and hopefully they last at least 5 to 10 years. So we're really still not gonna have any that are the same.
So Stony Creek was one we thought we could paint it up, and then once you got to it, it's like. Okay, we're not gonna paint this. So I was just looking for the quick fix. Asked the county if they could even do it. He said, I'll try. He tried, it looked good, we put it up. But yes, I would like, and I'm assuming Simon's the same as. The ones that we did at Marie Krause, the ones we did at the welcome sign, those would all be the same. That's the same company, same design, same style. which is funny, the one that Chris got for the splash pad. The guy came out and he was a lot higher, that they voted him. So, I don't know what Chris did, but. He got it, and they, both companies are in Sheboygan, so.
I would say if you're going for a quick fix, yeah, the county, we can have them make signs. And we can have them make signs that all look similar to each other. But if we want nice signs that represent what we're trying to do, the way we're trying to make parks look. I think the signs at Marie Krause that we have on the bathroom there and that 57 are they look the nicest. I think they're the way to go. I mean, yeah, if they're 3,000 and the county can do the same thing for 1,000, right, then we should use the county. But I think if we're trying to make everything cohesive, which I think Eric, Chris and I are on the same page that we should go about doing it that way. Then I think spending the extra money on those signs that should last forever. And I think we'll probably end up getting the extra support backing on them from here on out.
I would say, you know, having a good sign that looks new shows that that park's being used. That it's being maintained.
Yeah, and I think reason why I went with Stony Creek was there was a lot of negative publicity to that park. So we tried to do the small things to try and clean it up.
I mean, I understand if a sign's falling down, like it doesn't look well for a park, but I also am at the belief that if we can spend $3,000 on a park, if we can spend 500 of it on the sign that tells us it's Freedom Park, but then 2,500 on something that kids can use or like people can use, whether it's a cement pad for the picnic tables or another picnic, like people are more prone to use the park because there's stuff there, right? That they can use, not a sign sitting at the entrance that just costs $3,000, but now there's no equipment in the actual park for them to play on because $3,000 went to the sign instead of $3,000 towards yard games or so that's just where I was kind of wondering about the sign thing and did they really need to be that much to attract people to our parks?
Is the initiative based off like surveys or why do people care, I guess, if signs are like super nice?
People have asked because there's no designation to the park.
Yeah, I know that was a priority for the prior Parks Committee as well, that, you know, that signage in all the parks should be there and present and in your face. And if we could tie in, again, our marketing that we've been pushing even more so, then I just think it makes us look better as a village. Looks like we know what we're doing to some extent. But so I think maybe an idea here is if we can look at bulk pricing for these signs, if we could get a good bang for our buck for doing each of these together, maybe we could, you know, and this could be a full village board discussion.
And maybe,
that's
you know,
something.
maybe we do get an idea from the companies of what their signs can look like for the price and we send out another survey like we did with what we want for parks in the village and see, you know, I know we didn't get a ton of feedback from that, but even if we can get some feedback, maybe it just gives us an idea, like, do we want to spend that much on a sign when we could spend it in other ways at the parks? The net for the side of the soccer fields or the
And you're only looking at, is it 2 signs you want to replace right now? Fireman's Park and
Fireman's doesn't have any signs right now, so it'd be adding one. Children's is it's just a wood one that I think some people put some stickers on that says Children's Park on it. So.
and they didn't-
Freedom Park doesn't have-
And Freedom
Yes.
doesn't, and going back to old file from previous administration and boards was. On those things that I have in my office saying Freedom Park needs a sign,
It's going back since when I started the board, 19.
and we still haven't done it. And you still have people call and say it's by the post office, right? Cause there's no designation to the park. So I'm can do any and either way.
Well, I don't disagree that we should have signage at our parks that tell us what the park is.
Don't worry, when you send me that quote, I'm like. There an extra number in there?
question, Mr. Jenkins, were there any parks too that I want to say it was Children's Park, maybe some other parks, were there any parks that we even plan on keeping for a long term? I know we possibly talked about not having as many parks.
Mhm. Well, that's up to you all in the village, right? What your priorities are. If you're referring to when we've done that tour of parks, right? We have talked about children's, right? Is there really a need for one parcel size kind of lot within that neighborhood? We talked about Stony Creek with its kind of constant flooding. Is that really the best place to have a park there? So there's a lot of areas that you could argue maybe are not best to have green space and we could sell it off for private development. But every time you do that, you're also losing a neighborhood park for somebody that I'm sure, you know, a family that uses it. So it's not an easy discussion, I'll tell you that, to sell off public land. I think if you want to get people at a meeting, it might be us doing that.
I do ask though, cause then when we
Yeah.
get back to like spending money on these
Yep.
signs, you know, if we might not keep some of these parks super long term anyway. Would it make more sense to get a $200 sign that we replace every 5 years if we don't know how long we're gonna even have the park?
Yeah, I mean, I would answer that. I don't think there's any immediate serious discussion for that. It's just been talked about in the past.
Marie Krause would give it.
Yeah. That'd go over well.
I guess to go with your stuff changed, like children's or. I guess I really don't see it, like Children's Park, there's not much maintenance to it because it's a smaller park, you know, we do the normal grass cutting, you know. Clean up the grass and the sand there. But there's really not much maintenance, one, because it's smaller, there's not much there. You know, where our big stuff is coming from is Murray Krause, Oak Park. Oak Park only just because of the size of it, so. You know, now we got splash pad going in Freedom, I like Freedom Park, I kind of take pride in that one because that's the one you're driving through, that's what you see. You know, so we've fertilized that, we've stuck to the flowers, you know, to keep them going and. You know, we've added the wood chips, people have asked for, new seating there, ADA seating, seating in the wood chips by the playground equipment. So we've been, you know, adding and looking through. You know, trying to do most of whatever we can in-house to save the money, so we're not, you know, like Shane said, that we're not just. Spending 3,000 on a sign that it's just a sign, so that. Okay, I see it, but for the 3,000, we could have went for, you know, the teeter totter or something like that, so. No, we understand it's. What you guys want and. We try and deliver the best, because I think it makes it look good on not only you guys, but the village and then us too, that we're. Keeping the parks up. I think when I got hired, there was 3 things. That I got told that we need to clean up. The parks. Cause I don't think, Roger, you were here.
Yeah, I can vouch for, I had one summer with Roger, and then Eric took over with Roger. Basically, what we did in the parks was cut the grass. And then if there was a piece of equipment that was broken, we'd fix it. But that was about it. I mean, I think he had Children's Park might have got that sign that's there, might have gotten repainted 2 or 3 times. I mean, since Eric's taken over, we've done a lot more. I mean, we never rolled soccer fields before. We never, I mean, at Oak Park, they just put down new conditioner this year for the infield. Like we had never done that. I don't think since that was put in. And I mean, I know not all of that comes from our budget, you know, the baseball club and the soccer clubs are part of that. But at Freedom Park, you know, weed and feed in there. And then, I don't know, I mean, the trees, I would say, Freedom Park is our most used park all year round. With the tree lighting, and then we have the community decorated trees there. And then you have the Tuesday tunes and that stuff. And that's both since Eric and Chris took over, that the parks have been used a lot more for village events.
What about Stony, like, fix the pavilion there? So is it getting more use?
I guess I really don't. Go down that way to drive past it. To see if it's being used, I know it used to be used a lot more. I don't know if people have gone away from that just because it's not a closed pavilion anymore, but I mean that. For all the parks, that basically has all the amenities from parking to a structure to a warming shelter to bathrooms. To the playground equipment to basketball courts.
So was it enclosed?
Yeah, it was enclosed a while back. I heard different stories. They said it was mold or asbestos or something, so they took the walls down but left the top. But if anyone's been past it, it's
It looks good.
it's painted. There's lights underneath that are on a timer, so they're not on all night. The bathrooms have lights now, so you can actually see when you walk over there. The wood chips were redone. I don't think they were redone before for a while with previous management.
And we painted the bathrooms there inside last summer, and then they got the doors painted this year. And I mean, I would say with all of that, still Stony Creek may be our worst part. And I mean, it's not falling apart by any means, but it's,
The flooding don't help.
yeah, it's hard to do anything there with the flooding. And then it gets kind of neglected because of the flooding, and I know we used to do that, summer parks and rec program there with the like elementary kids. And I don't know if that's coming back or not. I know it's been like kind of bounced around to like kind of in passing, not anything we've talked about seriously.
The current board talked about it a few months ago and we're.
Okay, so, but I think that was why the warming shelter was put in there. But
With the flooding, I mean, is there anything that can be done that maybe planting stuff that will help? Not really.
Dredging that creek out, and that would be the big one.
Cleaning all the down trees out of that creek.
I think the problem we're running into though is that like, it's a floodplain, so it's hard. DNR has to like sign off on anything we do in there, right? If I'm understanding it correctly, so we can't just,
Removing trees, there might be some with black beetle or some crap that we do.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Stony Creek has been definitely, I don't wanna say the most neglected, but it is, it's one of those where it's there and there's stuff there and there's things there for people to do, but. It just is not utilized. I mean, it's not, and I think a lot of that is to do with the flooding, like you said. I think it needs something, right? Like, I know that we used to do the ice skating rink down there, but it doesn't freeze half the time, so by the time, you know what I mean? Yeah, so something cool could be built there, something could be done there, it's just what, you know, and what that's not gonna be impacted by the water that's there every time it rains heavily. So,
Yeah, it's like it'd be nice to put like a garden, like something, you know, where you can walk through, you know, like something pretty and floral. But if
And
you
I
have
actually-
so much flooding, I don't know.
Bet you tell or ask the people, they don't even know there's a basketball court there. And there's lights on it,
right,
so. But I know, does the Lions Club still use it for their meetings?
I don't think so.
No. So,
I think if anything, that would be a good part, we had talked about it in previous years, about trying to come up with a plan, you know what I mean, some sort of like. Not that you wanna pay somebody to do it, but really put your heads together and say as a board, like, hey, what do we envision? This park being, you know, what, in 10 years, what do we want this to look like, what do we wanna have here, and so we can start planning for it. 'Cause-
Build a lazy river in there.
There you go. I feel like every time we get to the parks meeting or the budget meeting for this, it's always like, oh yeah, we're gonna do something with Stony Creek, just throw a little something, and that's that. Like, I don't know, resurfacing the parking lot definitely has to be done, hasn't been done forever, but what's that gonna do?
something that I may or may not have mentioned to Simon, but, you know, there's. One that leads into two things that the village does not have, is tennis court or pickleball courts. That is something that I've talked about putting at Stony Creek, because it's a smaller. Space to take up, but then at least you have something that's offered in the village that.
We only have those at the end of. We're past the apartments.
Yeah,
you know,
county park.
Well, it's county.
It's not a bad idea too, because you could raise that up there, you could raise the grading up, so even if it does flood, it's not flooding. up the court.
And that would be a time to do it, is when we're regrading everything and paving it, so.
I do like that. I mean, that's pretty popular. My kids like pickleball, so.
So,
The other question I had about Marie Krause is there's obviously the talk of a pavilion there at some point in the future and like making that more of the place to go for events. would that include potentially trying to relocate like Tuesday Tunes to Marie Kraus instead of Freedom Park and like pushing more of the local events to
I
there?
think it depends on the event. Tuesday Tunes feels like a more downtown kind of vibe, and that's what we have. I know Fredonia isn't that big, but that would be our like downtownish area. But things like Fun Before the Fourth, right, those bigger celebrations, I could see that utilizing the space that Marie Kraus has.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna ask you that, obviously, I know that, I know that there was a sizable donation coming to parks from something, have we thought about, or has the group thought about what they were hoping to accomplish with them?
Yeah, so we haven't disclosed that full amount yet because we haven't received it yet. But I could say, yes, there is a sizable donation that we're expecting from a family in the village that's dedicated for parks. And so a lot of these ideas that we're talking about, like a pavilion, like a playground, we kind of envision using those dollars. I just didn't want to jump the gun in case the money doesn't come, but as soon as it does, well, you'll definitely know.
So like, if we did do like the pickleball courts, then could there be like pickleball leagues and somehow we generated more money that way? I don't know how that all works, but.
If you want to
you know what I
organize
mean?
it.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, need somebody to work and.
Oh, thank you, volunteers, totally.
And like, how much would it cost, like, you know, could you get a number for how much it would be to turn that over to Ed Stoney to like pickleball courts and?
I wouldn't, only because there's a basketball court there,
So you-
so it's either basketball or pickleball. You can't do both because of the
Okay.
net. But the trees on the northwest end of the playground equipment there, I think it's 3 pine. I think one of them might be alive.
Yeah.
But I would do that right there, of having it right there, because it's a smaller court. That I'm not taking up land from somewhere else, and it's all something that we can do in-house. Cause I plan on ripping that whole parking lot out in-house.
Another option or something, I think that's a great idea, and I think that pickleball courts would be really good, and that part of it's something we don't have anywhere else. I know that we've got those gigantic poplar trees that are there. I mean, I had envisioned too, taking all of those down and doing something like some sort of nature garden or something, you know what I mean, because you
Like a
get there,
butter-
it's like, oh my gosh, we have like stuff falling down or whatever too. But not that you want to take healthy trees down, but it's just they're all really crazily overgrown and things like that. You can do a nice landscape there to really kind of freshen it up from the roadways. I think a lot of times it's the first things that people see, right? It's like, oh, crap. So,
I would argue that those trees aren't healthy either.
there you go.
They like to fall down.
I don't take them to court.
Yeah.
All right,
On the board down. Privately.
Like I talked to my cousin and they did this in their backyard, but they're like certified, they have a certified monarch. Garden. Like, it's just because they have the right flowers there and you get a certificate, and if you have all those flowers there and it just draws in the monarchs, and it brings like, they were hatching all the little cocoons, they were like making sure that they were, it was kind of neat, it's kind of a neat little, I don't know, I feel like a butterfly garden would be easy to maintain. I did it in my yard the first year we lived there because we just didn't have anything, you know, so I threw in a bunch of flowers and zinnias, and there wasn't a lot of maintenance to it. I'm sure we could get donations on flowers. Everyone breaks up their stuff in the spring usually.
So I'm hearing as far as large expenses that when we're quoting the resurfacing of the parking lot, you would like us to look at the pickleball conversion for the basketball? We've talked about it.
Is that another thing where there's been a lot of? Well, it's a survey, like how do we even know there's more than 8 people in the village that would use it? Like what? How do we know this?
I know in the survey that was talked about quite a bit was the pickleball.
I mean,
I know more and more families that are, they're doing it with our adult children. It's the adults that are like my age, and then the children that are like Simon's age are joining leagues and doing that.
And not only is it, it's easy to maintain, cause there's the net and then the surface.
Okay.
So it's not like we gotta put up, keep replacing playground equipment, it's a net, and I don't know what a net is for those, but. And then paint the lines, which we can do.
So just like a concrete, like what's the floor, do you know?
The asphalt type, I don't know if I've seen concrete, it's normally been like tennis court, that surface that.
It's like a rubber
Yeah.
asphalt thing, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the life on something like that?
Don't know, haven't really looked into it, but I know, Jason, one of the DPW guys, says that, so he does all the time too, is pickleball, so.
I don't know if there's I mean, I didn't see the results from the survey, I don't know when that was sent out or anything like that, but, I mean, I haven't asked people directly if they would use a pickleball court, but you do hear everybody's kind of gravitating towards that. I think it's easier to play than tennis,
It is, it's less stress on your
Yeah.
joints, that's why the
Um,
old people are playing.
and like you can do it with your kids can play it, you can play it, like it's,
It's good intergenerational, it's kind of
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like a time like that we can spend with our adult children. Cause I mean, they're not playing on the playground equipment anymore, they're all grown up and we still wanna hang out and do stuff.
Question about the size of the pickleball court. How much different is it from the size of the tennis court or basketball? I mean, if we're to put down a slab that could accommodate a couple of different things, then we dedicated pickleball. It doesn't see much use. We repurpose it to something else, I mean, and maybe it so that it could be used for something more than just one thing, that would make it more valuable, that would make it. You could switch it out half a year.
No,
I
agree.
just don't know the size of these things.
I know it's smaller than tennis court, I just don't know.
which is in turn smaller than a basketball court.
Right.
Google says it's 20 feet wide by 44 feet long. Is that about what sizes out there already?
So your upfront cost will be the asphalt.
Last question, do we, someone mentioned the disc golf course, do we have hole or course sponsorships at all? Is that something we could do? Just to see if there's any extra, you'd call it a donation essentially.
I can ask Dan, so Dan's the one that does the maintenance of it. He cuts the grass, trees go down, he maintains everything,
We're pretty hands off with.
yeah, if it wouldn't be for him, I'd have to do a crash course on it, what he's all done. I mean, we pick up the garbage there, and then we cut hole one,
Half of it.
and then a little bit over by the wastewater plant, but otherwise we're pretty hands off with it. He just asks, hey, got any spare lumber that I can use to help fix bridges? And I usually try and tell him I'll get him like 1 or 2 benches a year, and then if he needs a garbage can or two. So, and he's happy with that, and
I would say that, I mean, that gets used a lot. There's always people that, I mean, every day, in the winter too, there's people down there using that. I don't know about sponsorships for it, I don't know. If that, I mean, I know golf, like you have sponsored holes for golf,
I think it's a pretty good idea.
yeah.
I'll ask him.
You know, if people had, if a business had you can pay, I don't know if it's, you would do it like yearly or whatever, but you just, each hole has a small little sign or something, this is the subway hole.
I guess if I could ask a general question to the board, if anyone owned a business, would that be something that someone would donate money to, help?
Well, no, it's, if there's a lot of traffic there might be investors.
I could probably find an investor too.
I could probably find one or two.
I'll just say, I actually just started a business that could probably use clients that play disc golf, so.
Look at that. All right, we'll keep talking.
People don't know what's playing this golf, but I mean, you gotta be selling, so.
There you go.
They buy them too.
Yeah, I'll ask him,
Jason Forever.
see what he says.
All right, so I didn't hear any major changes from Simon's list. We're generally comfortable with it, but some things that we'll investigate, as we get into 2026. Is that correct?
And for the signs, to clarify, we can come up with some quotes and ideas and show you guys what we're looking at, and
Yes.
you can guide us what direction you want us to go.
Maybe just like 3 to 5 options to kind of look at.
Oh, that just seems staggering for a price, for
Yeah,
a sign.
no offense, but yeah, it just, I don't know if it's worth it.
There's a lot of things when I call up and, be like, what do you think? You want that truck? 300,000. Okay.
What would that hang glider at Fireman's Park? Just that piece that runs back and forth on there, it's like $500.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Nothing's.
Yeah.
Or are we repairing them?
Are we what?
Are we replacing them?
It's
It's
already been
replaced.
replaced.
Yeah.
This day.
But to go on.
Day one of the job, Dan, he did it.
No, I agree. I mean, we
Yeah.
looked at other things and it's like, all right, that's, I guess the going. Price.
Maybe
we got
there's,
now.
you know, like, maybe, like you said, maybe if, you know, they make two at the same time, maybe
And-
there'll be a,
Which we talked to about that, and that company was actually really good to work with, so,
okay.
so they give us some other ones and. Let me stop. Wait to see what everybody says and go from there. The Marie Cross one, if you guys haven't seen that,
Nice, huh?
you need to go down there and look at that one. That one's, I think,
Does it have the splash pad one under it yet?
no, not that one.
I'll get down there when the splash pad's running.
Like on the build,
Friday. Yeah, it's on the building.
it was there then during the mud run?
Yep.
Oh,
Friday.
Friday.
Friday, get your swimsuit on.
They're getting installed Friday. Paving Friday.
Right.
Was there an action on there?
Okay, so we'll go to the next one. The discussion.
To answer your question, we don't need a formal action. I
Okay.
mean, we can nod our heads in consensus. That's, sounds good. Okay.
Discussion and possible action on tree lighting ceremony, winter walk.
It's on the back.
There you go. You want me to kick this off too and then you?
Yeah. So the tree lighting, if you haven't been there, or seen that done before, so at Freedom Park every year, well, so the first year we had the first 2 trees. And then now all 6 trees are fully lit. And it's a pretty small event. We don't put any money into it other than paying Santa Claus, which
You'd think he would just do it out of the kindness of his
Yeah.
heart, but
Still a place to be there.
he is already booked that day too, like early in the morning, so. But he said that so I have 200 listed in here, that was entirely budgeted for Santa. He said his price is $150. So we'd be saving the 50 there. I reached out to Divine Savior, the Catholic school here, to see if they wanted to do Christmas carols for that event. They haven't responded yet. As of yesterday morning, they had not responded yet. If they are unwilling to do it, I will check in with Ozaki, see if they would like to have. But it's a pretty small event. I mean, it's just Santa. We count down, light the trees.
Last year's was fun where we had like all the guests or like the people that came for the tree lighting, like singing the Christmas carols, like they handed out the slip
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
songs, and
yeah,
that was
cool.
Justin's brother, Brisk's brother.
Yep. Esther Frisk, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then the other important part to this is the little mini trees themselves. So we have a pretty big collection now that we've been getting over the years of used trees that, do you remember off the top of your head how many we have, guys? We have a good amount that we set up, and then we have different organizations that want to come and rent, and then they have such and such time to decorate the tree, and those all light up with us when we do the other one. So I know that you haven't been privy to that process yet, but there's a simple form that we would have and solicit those people if that's desirable as well. I know in the past, Dan, do you remember, we went back and forth with charging and not charging, right?
Not-
Yeah. Okay,
Especially now that cost.
correct. Yeah, there's no. Yep, yep.
So for those who aren't aware, we went away from the real trees and went to artificial trees that were all donated.
Yep.
last year.
I know last year we had an issue with them falling over in the wind, so I think supporting them will be top priority this year.
There you go.
Only a couple. I'm just clarifying that we are doing this November 30th, so it's on a Sunday, so I'll make sure.
Correct.
Yeah, it's been the date since February. I think we had booked it.
And 6 PM, I believe we
Yep.
decided on this week.
We had a push it. My birthday. My birthday.
Did you care too much?
No kidding, right?
No, we've done hot chocolate and stuff in the past.
Yep.
Again, I don't know if that's something that.
If we're doing a fire pit, we gotta figure out something else. You guys killed my grass.
Last time.
Wasn't the fire
was
pit
in
on the pavement? Yeah, it was on the
It
concrete.
was not on,
It was
it's
on
on
the
the grass.
It was on the concrete.
No.
Last year it was on the concrete.
Literally in the middle of the.
Yeah.
In the pavilion.
Was it?
I concur.
No,
Last year,
what
I
was the
don't
one
remember.
by the grass? What killed all that? That was fire.
I don't know if I don't remember any grass being dead this year,
Mm,
maybe 2 years ago,
Was it 2 years ago?
maybe.
That's why you got this job.
So anyway, on to that point, I mean, do we have volunteers to bring a fire pit? Do we have volunteers to bring hot cocoa? How do we want to organize that?
Yeah, I thought about offering it up to village clubs too, to see if they wanted to sponsor a hot chocolate. They could ask for tips or whatever they want to do. I'm not sure exactly how that would work. How would you go about that?
I know the scout troop that sells the wreaths and stuff wants to come back
Okay.
to do that as well. I
Yeah.
wonder if they'd be willing to.
Yeah, so
do
maybe
hot
we can
chocolate.
ask them and they can just tackle two birds there.
Yeah.
Divine Savior would be a good one to ask, cause the kids do a lot of events at church, like with pancakes and everything, so.
Yeah, I can open that up to them too as well. When I check back in with them next week when I'm back from class, and see if I'll reach back out to see if they're interested in this, in doing carols, and then if they are, I can ask if they want to do hot chocolate with that as well.
And if it comes down to it, I do have a fire pit I can lend, as long as it doesn't walk off. I like it.
Do we have any other volunteers to bring a fire pit?
You got a few?
A fucking ring, that's what I brought last year, to put some landscape for. But yeah, the hot chocolate thing, I mean, that's easy, way to just get. Actually, Aaron, or like 30 minutes, so maybe even cheap one.
Yep.
But
We can make Jason play piano. He can bring his piano and speaker. Don't you love that? I volunteered him forever.
All right,
Volunteer.
DJ, why don't you plan on bringing the fire pit? And then it'll either be one of these organizations or Dan's wife that'll bring the hot chocolate. Sounds good. Anything else you want to do for this event?
You guys have wood?
Probably get some
We've
wood.
been saving wood without nails and.
Otherwise I have some trees I need taken down.
Better split it right away too. So it's ready to-
All right, next.
And then our winter walk, I don't believe that there has been any cost for that in the past, and we don't plan on having a cost for that this year. It's a pretty straightforward event, basic. Both of these two events in the winter here are pretty basic. But that one is just a roughly mile-long walk through the Marie Krause / disc golf course, lit by candles along the way. And then with the trees that DPW collects from village residents, we burn those during that, with that.
what's that gonna look like this year, since now we actually have a parking lot?
I also was,
So, there's 20 feet of gravel to the north, so we'll do it up there on the gravel. That's flat. So the edge of the parking lot, there's like 20 feet yet.
Oh,
So we'll do it there.
Yeah, can't kill your grass.
No, we're gonna pave that the next year.
It would probably be safe. Maybe we'll have some safety cones at the end of the parking lot, give people room to park, say, don't drive in the fire. See, we get a little bit better each year.
Don't park too close.
Pick a date for that.
No, you have to at some point, but they'll get screwed up every time, because you
Yeah.
have no snow, or you got too much snow, or it's freaking windy or whatever, so you gotta really.
It's a tricky.
And I
one.
think it's always been the second date we picked because.
Yeah.
You know, the one time it was snowing and the other time it was what, it's like
One of those
-2.
Wasn't it supposed to be snowing?
Wind.
Walk in the snow, well, with the snow, you gotta.
It wasn't that kind of snow.
That was, we had like the blizzard where like the snow was like this high. I think we were in Green Bay. We were like snowed in up there.
Yeah, so February's been our sweet spot. Every time we reschedule, it's been in February, so maybe
Yeah.
we'll just pick a February date.
February, right after the Super Bowl.
Yep. Yep.
With that one as well, I thought about, kind of the same thing, that maybe a community club or hot chocolate beverage tent, something like that. Open that up to them.
Any other suggestions, ideas, additions you want to make to these events?
Both low turnout events, you're assuming, right?
Say it again.
These are both like very low turnout events.
Not necessarily. The tree lighting's been, I wouldn't call that low turnout. It's
The
been
tree lighting's
pretty
been
good.
pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
we've gone every year since we moved here and there's always quite a few people there actually.
Is there maybe, it sounds like you're looking for volunteers for maybe some beverages and stuff, but is there maybe a vendor you could have pay a small fee to be the vendor at the event for food or anything, or is that something you couldn't make money on?
I don't know if it's that many people. To
Just a thought.
I would say
substantiate.
if you convinced the vendor to do it, you wouldn't charge them. You could tell them like, we're having this event and if
Yeah.
you'd like to bring your food truck.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to park it here.
That's just why I asked about the attendance.
Yeah. I would say, what I've learned so far doing these events is the amount of people we get at like Tuesday Tunes. If you've ever been there, it's like 200-ish people. That's probably like the bottom cap for a food truck. Like if they can drive up and see at least 200 people in a park, then they can leave feeling good, like they made some money. Anytime it's been less than that, then they kind of leave disappointed. So I don't think we're going to get 200 people at the tree lighting, right?
If it's cold, you're gonna get less food.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's freezing.
November in the past has been warmer, but in the past 2 or 3 years. But who knows, right? Winter in Wisconsin.
I've been gone the last couple years. I'm here this year.
Correspondence?
Nope, we're on item C.
Oh, my
Okay,
bad, my bad.
discussion and possible action on 2026 events.
Who's taking this? You or me, Simon?
You've
So throughout the past few years, we've done a couple main events. Our Tuesday Tunes, like we've talked about, movie in the park, Fun Before the 4th, and then our Madonia Kids Mud Run. Through our relationship with the Friends Group and, volunteers that are ebbing and flowing, and now the new position that Simon has, we just need to be realistic about what we can actually handle with the amount of volunteers and staff that we have versus what we might not be able to. And just set a clear expectation of what we can handle in-house. So I think there's some events like the Madonia and the Tuesday Tunes that it's pretty minimal staff involvement. And we do get the people that we need, whether it's a local organization or volunteers on the day that could help do that. Plus the revenues help support the expenses for those events. But things like Fun Before the 4th, I mean, that's a huge event. I mean, I just want you guys to understand, Dan knows because he's lived through it. I mean, those are big events with a lot of planning and a lot of people behind that we need to make sure that we have those people in place in order to continue to do events like that. And I'm telling you that going into 2026, I'm not sure if all those people are there. And then just pivot off that, the movie night, I think out of all of our events, and you've been to some of them, that's probably our least attended. Granted, there's barely any cost to us to do it, but that's probably another event where if that's not a priority for us, then we just don't do it until there's interest again. But more importantly, I want us to have a frank conversation about Fun Before the Fourth, because that's a big celebration that this community has gotten to know through the 150th anniversary and other things that we've done. I'm telling you that we can't do it without additional help, whether that's other volunteers, other businesses, other, board members stepping up. And I don't know what all your appetite is to do that.
So Friends of Fredonia even exist anymore? You know?
I don't know. Last we heard was, I know the two members had quit, and then Lauren said she was still pushing forward. And that was a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost too late to start planning now for next year already. Now it sounds crazy, but it's a bummer, it's a shame, it's one of the main things that I really wanted to get going while I was on, but you need to have people, and if you don't, and if you're just doing it just to do it and say you did it, it's gonna fail. So, until that volunteer base gets up and running again, I think that you're gonna set yourself up for failure if you don't, like, if you just try to push forward and don't have the people and the things. So.
Would it be possible to do something not quite as extravagant? Something a little bit more limited in scope. I mean, certainly you'd have to cancel fireworks if that's an expensive addition, but backing off on some of the other stuff that is very nice, but unfortunately too expensive. I'm not familiar with what the costs were for the different aspects of it.
Well, I mean, for the first, first 2 years, the first year doesn't really count with all the weather and stuff, but before last year, it was completely paid for by donations, 100%. But again, you've got to be organized. You have to have the people. You've got to get, now, because people are starting to think about what they're going to do for donations that year and for next year and all those things, right? For planning. So the cost of different things isn't the big issue. I think the issue is having the motivated people and people in place to run the machine to try to get, make the events happen.
To be clear, which events are we gonna have to scrap, you're saying?
Say it again.
Which events are we gonna have to scrap?
Oh, we're talking about Fun Before the Fourth, which is what we did in different iterations. It was the 150th and Fun Before the Fourth before, yeah. It's just our big celebration at Fireman's Park. So it involved fireworks, involved the live band, drinks. We had a craft fair, parade,
And
food vendors.
I mean, it sucks because people expect it now, right? But we don't have the infrastructure there,
for that one, for example, like where's the lack of help? Like what are you not able to do with that?
I don't know, the volunteers. Just
I think, to be frank, Tiffany and I had really
Did
pulled
everything.
a ton of the weight on that. And I mean, Tiffany's gone, and not at this point, she's totally stepped away from it, and I'm just very limited as to what I can do at the moment. So it's like, and the volunteers everywhere else too, right, from manning a dunk tank to that type of thing. It's hard, and it's very easy to say, I'll help out. But then when you think about it, then you need 20 to 30 volunteers, and it's hard to get 3 people to run for the board, right?
Yeah.
It just gets hard. So I would love, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see it happen. I'd love for 3 people to walk through the door and be like, this is our event, we're doing it, and you guys just help out when you can. That'd be great. I think that'd be perfect, because I think, I don't think the event date was great anymore. I feel like that definitely needs to move somewhere, but I think it was really good for the community, and we had a ton of positive feedback of people that really enjoyed having something here in Fredonia. And it just got bigger and bigger right here, But to Chris's point, Yeah, I mean, at this time last year, we already had donation letters out and things like that, you know what I mean, so it's crunch time and. Fundraising arm, that we don't have is. Doesn't help. So,
I mean, Eric would know more about. Would it be maybe a possibility in future years to do something to tie in that event with the fire department? When they do like an open house or when they do I don't know how willing, if they'd even be willing to do something like that. But then I think you're opening yourself up to finding more volunteers possibly. With the fire department being involved specifically, at least for half the day, maybe. I don't know, I mean, I think like Dan's saying, it's too late for next year to. Do something like that, but for future years, if that's an event that we want to keep doing. And I think we do want to, I mean, it's, if we can, right, it's the.
I mean, everybody loves the parade, so, you know, just to
Right.
bring people together and whatever.
I mean, it gets a good turnout, I think, every year, and
And also too, like, it's like I don't really have a pretty neutral opinion on that event specifically, but does it have to be put on by the village necessarily per se, or could you actively hunt for, you know, bands and different things to put on actual events there that we just happen to host, obviously, because they're using the space.
So we would love for another organization to take on the event, and I think that's the point, is we've tried to set that up, that Mutt Club.
Friends.
But we can only do so much hand holding, right? And the events that we do more, that we are more hands-on with, like Madonia, like Tuesday Tunes, those are able to succeed because, again, the amount of time and effort that we as a staff and board members put into it. And I'm saying we could do that for smaller events like that. We just don't have the manpower to do a large scale event like that.
See what happens with the friends group.
Just literally sent the message, just said there's a thing anymore. I'd love to say, yeah, I got this, let's do it, you know what I mean, but I just realistic, it's just.
Yeah.
Without somebody that's gonna put a lot of time and effort into it, then it's just. And yeah, this place, you can cut the fireworks and, you know. Get a smaller band and things like that for sure. I mean, last year, I feel like I really just kind of. Tried to kick into the next year, and then for whatever reason, nobody had any idea that Rebel Grace was coming, and, you know, that really kind of was like, oh. You know, I really kind of just put a damper on the whole thing, but. I don't know, I don't want to be pessimistic, I think it's a great opportunity. As is normal when, you know, your volunteer group gets small, it's just, you get tired, right? So. Right, people. Oh, yeah.
So if that's okay, then we'll not focus on that specific event, but we will make sure that we're bigger and better for Tuesday Tunes, for Madonia. I'll tell you, you know, aside from the date, Madonia gets, you know, better each year with the feedback that we get from our parents. Tuesday Tunes, I think every single night at Tuesday Tunes, I got asked, when are you gonna do more of these, right? Can we do more every month?
Add maybe 2 more Tuesdays into the summer, possibly, since we wouldn't be doing.
Yep, perhaps. But again, we still need bodies, right? I can't be the only one that hustling people for donations, so.
Yeah.
And serving drinks, right? You gotta think about that stuff too, so.
I was there last year.
What's that?
I was there. I was there this year.
All right, we got 1 volunteer. Thanks, DJ.
Would definitely help with more. I just need.
Yep.
Hearing about it the day of isn't exactly helpful.
Yeah, and those are the events, and, you know, go back on donations. We are gonna be sending donation letters out soon, and those are the events that local businesses have been supporting. They just have, and we appreciate that. Cool. Did you want to touch anything else on Madonia? I know you had some kind of ideas with, not you. I know you had some ideas with the chorus and
I mean,
opticals.
so I think last year was, in my opinion, the best one. And then I think people were still like, we want more mud. I think you're never gonna have enough mud. I know Chris has asked for us to look into new obstacles because we've kind of been reusing and repurposing the same ones that we've got. So that'll be for next year. We're targeting 2 new obstacles, and then attempting to make it kind of having obstacles spread out for all ages to use. So if you're unfamiliar with that event, the youngest group runs a pretty short route. And then the that middle group is running, and then the older kids are running a longer. And typically we've done a lot more for the older kids. And part of that is just the route for the little kids is short, and then it runs right through the soccer fields. And it's, we don't want to tear the grass up for the soccer fields. But I think we're kind of brainstorming ways to include obstacles that don't necessarily involve mud. Maybe it's just water, maybe it's just something that they have to go through. And I think if there is no Fun Before the 4th next year, that allows us more time to build stuff, to come up with things, to buy things for that event. Because typically those 2 events are within a month of each other. And it leaves us pretty tight for time when we have all of our other responsibilities that we're also doing.
The village has a nice piece of property that we can like make actual obstacles on and leave there.
Where's that?
South Milwaukee. Can actually even dig like trenches out there, and then we can have the fire department fill them full of water.
I know nothing.
Perfect Madonia obstacle course property right there.
You said the last one was the best, like what do you mean by that?
I think it was the best because we had more opportunities for mud through the course. In the first year or 2 that we did it, everything was kind of all at the end. And you just had them run through it and then come back, and then that was they ran the course, and then all the mud and stuff was at the end. Last year we had some kind of pits, things they were crawling through throughout the course. So you actually got to the end and they already had mud on them. Which I think is, that's why they're all there, right? So I think that for that reason, I think it was the best. I guess, I didn't talk to many parents, but
It was just a bad date last year, or this year.
Yeah, we did it in August. We gotta bump it back to July.
Yeah.
That was a better date.
I think
So
it's
was it-
only fair.
But again,
So was there not good turnout? Was there not like any real profits from it, or?
Well, that event always has profits because the registration fee covers all of our expenses. It's just a matter of how much, right? So the attendance was lowest last year, but again, that was because it was in August, same week as the county fair. And so if we bump it back to July, and then that's when we've had the most success. And just looking at a calendar quick back on Tuesday Tunes, there are at least 1 or 2 months that have 5 Tuesdays on them. And those might be the good opportunities to add extra slots, so I'll look into that. And there are bands that want to play, by the way. Just last week I had 2 bands that reached out to me, so.
You're welcome.
You send it my way?
The one was from me.
Oh, great.
Is it you?
Right, you called me.
Me.
how much, when you do know how much they are, can you shoot that one? please?
Sure. How much the bands are?
Yes.
Yeah.
See if
I
I can
do,
get some donation.
I'll give a few, I'll give them your contact info. They'll play for a little to nothing.
Normally our budget caps at around $500, give or take.
Yeah,
For a
Oh.
3-hour set.
They'll do it for a donation jar sitting up front.
Are they good?
Yeah,
Okay,
they play Summerfest.
no, deal.
A couple of them play Summerfest even.
Say if we're really desperate, my old band really wants me to get back to it, so. Cool, all right. Yeah, for real. Cool, we'll plan on those. And I didn't mean to skip over. Did anybody have an opinion on the movie night stuff?
I've never been to a movie. night, so.
I liked the movie night, but there was not many people
I
there.
was saying,
There
we
was
keep
really
doing it.
not
There's very little cost to us. It's just a matter of.
I should have brought my fire pit that night. 'Cause it was
Mhm.
cold, but
do it down in the park.
We do own a popcorn machine that we purchased specifically for that.
And a big screen.
That we've never used.
I would like to have, me personally, I'd like to have that come back.
Me too.
I thought it was fun.
And you can,
No, concession stand, it'll have beer.
Honestly, that probably is a good idea. Like, for real. That's good thought.
If there's beer, they'll come.
oh, yeah, that was an easy one for us to set up. We had signs
Mhm.
made up or whether we're sticking in the ground ones.
I think you guys landed on the best movies are ones for all ages.
Yeah.
And not just the kids' movies.
Yeah.
That got the biggest window.
And not the adult movie. I mean, I don't mean adult, but you know, I mean, yeah,
You'd be surprised how many people would probably turn off.
You're right there.
Eric's gonna have a front row seat.
Movies.
No, but we have like a Tiger Jet movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Maverick. Well,
Maverick.
to be fair, we also had darn near tornado that night, so that.
Correct.
But yeah.
All right, we'll plan on movie night. Sounds great. Cool.
When is that?
I don't know yet.
February.
Encourage people to dress up like that.
It's worked out. It's worked out good to do it kind of like right after school starts. You get some nice reprieve for parents, so.
I think the most, well, we can talk about it now, but I feel like the one that we did a few years back in October, or right before Halloween, was one of the most well-attended ones that we had. I think we had Hocus Pocus
Hocus
or
Pocus.
something once.
Hmm.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's better when the kids aren't in school. Because all of these months, the daylight is so much later that like when your kids are up till 10, 11 o'clock at night, it's not a big deal.
And that could be something too with Stony Creek then.
Yeah.
If you're looking to add something there.
But that was also the worst thing about having the summer movies is that you couldn't start until 9:50.
Right.
But the one we did here, I mean, it was like it could start at 6:30 at night, 6
Yeah.
o'clock at night, it's done by 8 on a Friday. And
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, but then it's freezing. And
Cool.
I begin with that. I
We
don't-
can just make sure to bring some fire pits.
Great. All right.
Correspondence? No,
I got it.
items for future consideration
I'd like to say something.
are,
I know that the splash pad is nearing completion. I think it's a terrible idea to have a grand opening on November 1st. I really do. I think
it would have been great if it was October because it was warm.
Wait till June.
going and having, it's just, think about how much negative publicity and everything you've already had, and all of a sudden, oh, look at the village of Fredonia, they're opening a splash pad in November. You know, like that type of thing. We have to say thank you to the people that have done it.
Yeah. And that's what November's meant for.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, which
Yep.
I understand. But I think instead of doing an event and whatever, I think just, you know, maybe even a picture or something, you know,
Mhm.
something like that with people or whatever. And then really waiting until, you know, the main warm months to actually open it up, I think is a much better.
Yeah.
I think the optics are much better.
And so what you said is, I don't know if that's been communicated properly. That's been the plan, at least in my mind, is that we're kind of past that usable months for the pad. I was only planning on inviting our corporate donors, right, to that event, saying thank you to them. And then, yeah, we wouldn't be opening it until,
Have you
Whatever.
sent anything out?
just PWSB. They're the only ones who wanted to know.
So can I make a suggestion then? So Friday's the big day, that's when we're installing everything, we're making sure everything works.
This Friday, yes.
Do you wanna wait till then? Not that we turn it on and the water shoots somewhere else and it's not going where it's supposed to?
You mean wait to invite people into that? Yeah, I can handle that.
Cause then at least on Friday, cause we're, you know, Quashis is coming to help install, and Simon will be there.
Mhm.
They're paving and that, not that all of a sudden they turn it on and realize. We must have hit something, putting the concrete in, you got no water. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we wanna do it now is so we can get it fixed before spring,
Yeah,
so.
or the freeze and.
Which I think is great. I think testing out, I just think, you know, inviting the press and all this stuff and then just, you know, it just looked really odd. You know?
I was still gonna go in it.
Another year more.
Or bunch.
I think if we make it clear that, you know, the big grand opening will be in the spring, you know. Kind of kick off.
We can advertise it as the Fredonia Polar Plunge.
Yeah.
But I'd wait with anything until Fridays. Because if something goes wrong,
That's fine.
then I am,
You guys do whatever, that's just my thought, like, I think it'd be really cool to have everybody there when it's turned on, kids can go in it, and they can have pictures of everything and all that stuff, so. But I mean, obviously, that's to be tested and everything for the, so.
I do have one thing. It's not on the list and it hasn't been talked about. I've mentioned it to Chris. If Freedom is going to be Freedom Park, the designation for, you know, Tuesday two and some more things. The shelter shade, whatever it's called,
The big top?
is nearing its end. There are, well, when we put it up, there's 4 rips in that.
It's dirty. You can't really clean it.
I thought when Roger had it fixed, it's like 12,000 to repair some of that. Is that something, maybe if we get that donation, we look at putting a solid top on there?
It was already the plan or done deal, whatever.
Well, we had talked about wanting to do that. Yeah, that'd be like a future capital purchase because it'd be costly to do that.
Yep, I mean. Okay, well, just so you know,
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna be taking it down probably next week and.
Make that a high school project?
So,
Also, do you need it?
do what? Do we
Need it.
Do we need it on there? I mean, it's a shade, that's all it is, it's a shade structure, it's not waterproof, it's not. Anything else, so you stand under it when it's raining, you're gonna get wet.
I know I have been.
So,
I haven't got one under there yet.
Yep.
so that's.
Yep.
Food for thought that,
A more solid top could be more beneficial for the Tuesday tunes for the fact that, you know, if we do have rain in the forecast, the bands can be. I know the night that I volunteered there, they had rain in the forecast and they had brought their own kind of makeshift shelter and the rain.
Or-
We're gonna need something like that anyway, just because of,
Yeah,
Yeah.
DJ, that's ours that we.
Or
that
if
we
we
buy.
wanna put it off, there's rips, but we just get some flex seal or something to make it work.
They do, I don't know if we have any, but they make like patches. So
we have some kits.
there are patches like sewn in there already. But I'm not a fan of that structure that's there.
It's a 3-person job,
Yeah,
and you have to have 2 pieces of equipment down there to get up there. So.
I
it's
mean, it'd take
not
all day
easy.
to take it down and put it up.
Would it be easier to put a tree in the middle where, to get some shade where there would be shade,
As in a real tree or a fake tree?
either or any sort of non,
I will explore any options that your heart desires. But I, like I said, I like that park, I think that. I try and focus more on that park. But the shade structure is, that's all it is shade structure. So if we're gonna keep doing more stuff there and help protect the people that are going in there. Or Tuesday too, because. If a storm comes through on a Tuesday night. Where are you going?
oh,
But at least if there's some shade, they can crawl under there or, you know, a solid structure.
I mean,
They
I
crawl
don't,
under it.
I don't know what this looks like, but maybe there's a way you can put sides on there that you can pull down if we need to. So at least the
kind
bands,
of more like a band to.
yeah.
But just so you know, I mean, it's that. I think you were on the board, Dan, when that got put up, right?
Happened just before I got up.
Just before.
Yep,
Wasn't
So-
there more colors that one time too?
yeah, the circus time.
Yeah.
So
So
I think in the next 1 to 3 years, we're looking at a capital.
we need to do something like
Something
that.
permanent, okay,
Yes.
structure.
We need to do something. I'm hoping we could use the poles there. They just might have to be reinforced or something on top more structure. I don't think so. I think those are steel, right? Thumbs up.
We all got our marching orders for the two events coming up. Do you want to meet again between now and the end of the year? Just talk about more 2026 stuff? What is your appetite?
We need to be till January, I mean, honestly, January?
I guess it could depend on what friends happens with friends. I mean, if they get volunteers again and start putting a group together again, be to have discussions about possible events, but
They have a
And-
meeting tomorrow night.
Oh, that's good.
With more than one person.
I know this,
Right.
if you need more than one person.
Then you're just a friend.
Friend of the friends,
Like motion to adjourn.
second.
all of you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Just say no.
Walk.
Yeah. When's